Alright, so today what I'm doing is I'm showing you another way to make another meal. And so this was the black stew I made in the last couple videos with rice and black beans. And inside of this meal I'm also going to be adding some kabocha squash and a little bit of butternut squash. I'm also adding half a can of whole kernel corns, and I'm going to drain and wash it. As for the liquid ingredient, I'm putting in some V8 original juice, and this V8 has got 920 milligrams of sodium, so this is high salt, so you don't need to add any salt to this meal at all. And for our vegetable, we're also going to be adding some red chard from our garden. You can tell because you can see all these bugs that have eaten it, but it is so delicious, so it's very well worth it. Okay, so come and see how I put together this meal.
Welcome to Healthy Vegan Living!
Now this is the black stew that is completely defrosted. This will make two meals easy. So I'm putting it right in the pan. I'm trying to show you that when you grab, you defrost it, you want to take apart, and like I can still feel this is cold. So you want to make sure that every piece of the rice and the beans are separated. And if you do get a carrot, you just want to squish it like that. So the reason why is you don't want to cook it like this. So sometimes what happens is it just stays in a clump, it stays cold in your soup or your stew in this case, and it doesn't help it. Alright, so we're gonna just separate it out. Now you could do this with a spatula if you wanted to. It's just I don't mind touching my food. Of course you have to have clean hands, but that's not a big deal. I always wash my hands in the kitchen. And then you just separate it out. Once that's all done, then I'll be introducing the squash to it and slowly building the components of it. So once you get all of the frozen meal apart, the next thing you want to do is you want to drain your whole kernel corn. Now the reason why we're not saving the water from the corn is because we're putting in V8. Now if you don't like, let's see how much salt does this have. It's got 320 milligrams. We don't really need that salt. So one thing you can do is you can rinse out your corn. Now this is going to be broken down into two meals. Okay, so you see this part, and then we bring it back to the frying pan, which I'm doing, setting up on my counter, and we're going to use half of this, and then we'll mix it in together. Now this is a silicone pan, so you can't use metal utensils in it, you'll damage it. Okay, so you're just going to mix it in, the corn in, and next we're going to do is we're going to cut up the squash. So the rest of this corn, well, you're going to put that away for another meal. Now the problem with this meal is that this original package of frozen add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and you're going to be adding another, let's see, 450 milligrams of salt because we're using this as our liquid portion to be able to flavor it. This V8 is not low salt, it's the normal V8, and so it is very high in salt. So if you have a problem with salt, don't add the V8. Either add then use tomato paste or use something else. I'm doing a lot of back-breaking work around my house, and I'm using this. I need the salt, so I'm going to pour in about half the can. And then you take your spatula again and you mix it in. Now for me this could be 2 or 3 meals. Usually 2, because I really eat a lot of vegetables. Okay, your last step is you're going to do is you're going to cut up your squash. So you're going to take your squash, and you don't have to really this is Kabocha squash, so you can actually eat the skin. What I like to do is on these skins that have deformation like this, I don't put that in the soup or in the stew. I like to keep that because it tastes kind of weird, but the rest of the skin is fine. It's not dirt, some kind of weird thing that the skin made. Okay. So then I just cut up the Kabocha squash and what I'm doing is I'm dicing it in small pieces. You can dice to whatever you need. I'm using probably 1 inch. It's very soft. You see how it just melts in my hand? But it adds a lot of additional flavor and minerals. Kabocha squash, or Japanese pumpkin, adds a lot of vitamin A to your meals, and it's good for your eyes, your hair, all that stuff. Okay, so putting it in there, I'm going to take this away. Oh, we have the butternut squash, and this you can eat the skins too. I'm going to dice this a little smaller because it seems it's much more denser squash. Pick it all up, put it inside. Everything's been cooked. All you're going to be doing is warming it up on the stove top. You shouldn't have to even wait very long. Now you're just going to mix it all together, and then you can give this out at your family dishes and makes a nice dinner. It's got a lot of vegetables. It's got your complex protein. It's got beans and rice in it. Very nice, healthy meal. Because you had already saved your base meal, which was the beans and rice. So everything was easy to make, easy to assemble. Alright, so let's cook it up on the stove. So I'm setting it to high for like a few seconds. Doesn't take long in this particular pan to warm it up. And after that, I'm going to reduce it to medium. Then it's just a matter of just mixing it in and watching it so that it doesn't overcook. You don't want it to cook at all. You just want it to warm up your food. Alright, so we'll see you in a few minutes, and I'll let you know how it comes out. Alright, so you've seen it before. I take these stems and I put them in the freezer. Let me show you. Right here, our stems are already frozen from the last. These are all white chard and red chard stalks. So that's what I make my soups out. And then what I do is I cut out the leaf off of the stalk, especially if like this one is thick, and then I will take the leaves and I will cut them up into small pieces, and I will put them in the stew that's cooked, that's basically warming up on the stove. And even if these are not fully cooked, then there's even more nutrients for me. So then I grab that. Alright, so now the food is warm and ready to eat. I'm just going to put this on the bottom, the leaves on the bottom, just so they get slightly warm, and I'm going to eat them that way. So this stew is, these are beet greens and some chard, and what I'm doing is I'm just warming it up. So none of the vitamins are coming out of the beet greens are going to get damaged. Just going to warm it up around, and I'm going to serve it and show it to you. As a matter of fact, I'm serving it now. So then you get yourself a plate. You can use your spatula, and you can just, and everything is nice and warm. And the leaves will be a little bit more raw than normally when I cook this, but they also taste very good when they're raw, so it's not going to make any problems. Okay. So it would look something along like this.
If you like this channel, please subscribe. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Thank you for watching.